Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Carlos Ponce, your host at Advancio Talks, and welcome everyone to episode 7 of season 2 of Advancio Talks. For those of you who have been following us for a couple of years, because Advancio Talks has been around since 2022, please stick with us. And if you're new to the show, stick around still because we're going to have a conversation that I'm sure is gonna shed some light into the matter of technology and education, entrepreneurship, what it means to be a solopreneur, and among other topics. And for that, we have Mike Hernandez. He is the founder of the C Store Center. So, Mike, it's been a while. So it's good to see you, Mike. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, it's been a while, Carlos, and thank you for the opportunity. I seldom get to do these, right? So thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Yes, absolutely. So, well, let's get started, Mike. I know we have a lot to cover today, but before we get into that, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about Mike Hernandez. Who are you, and what's your story? Why that brought you here to this moment in time? Tell us a little bit about you, and then we're going to move on to the company and then the topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny, Carlos. I'm the same person I tell people that I've always been. Um, Obviously, you go through life, you gain experience and knowledge, and some of those things change, but at the core, same person. I tell my wife that all the time, right? So I come from a large family, Carlos, 14 brothers and sisters. Step brothers and sisters grew up right on the border, United States and Mexico, Rio Grande Valley. And I was always kind of quiet, observant, very studious. In fact, I used to read a lot. I was always an avid reader.
Hmm.
And, my grandma used to say, and this was her favorite story she would tell people. She's like, Miguelito siempre always quiet, real calladito. She says, but one day there was somebody doing some kind of maintenance um, on the house, right? And he was on a ladder and he was clowning around, right? And he fell. And I'm
Hmm.
a little kid. I might be like 3 years old. And she said, this is what I said. Ándale, pendejo, eso querías, at 3, right? So anyway, so that kind of I guess sums up kind of how I was growing up, just kind of quiet, always observant. Like I said, I used to read a lot. I hit an age where I started to mature, like in the 8th grade, and then it became all about looking for challenges, challenging myself, and
Hmm.
and it all started with we had an assignment in an English literature class, recite and memorize and recite a 5 to 10 line poem. Well, I think it's 53 lines, Charge of the Light Brigade. It was a lot to kind of bring in at that age and recite. But I did something like that. The next year, coach says, hey, come see me when track season starts. I didn't know what the heck he wanted. And he's like, go run with the long distance runners. My brother could beat me running. So anyway, next thing I know, I make the varsity team as a freshman. So following year, I get a job, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to run home. It was like 14 miles after I got off work, and I just took my shorts, and so I've always been up to those things, looking for ways to kind of challenge myself.
Hmm.
Um, and At any rate, I've also been the type, Carlos, that I see something and I think, you know what, I'm going to need that later. I don't know why, but that's a good skill to have. That's something, and I just take what I need. Once I have it down, I move on to something else, and I think that's always helped me. So, a mantra or two that I've always lived by: it's better to be trusted than to be loved.
Hmm.
So I've never really worried about because I've always found when people can trust you and they realize that you carry their best interest, they tend to love you. At least that's always been my leadership experience. And then the other thing too, then this scares a lot of people. A lot of people. I'll take a good day of work over a bad day of golf any day. Most
Hmm.
people aren't wired like that. I've always been that way, and I love to work. Love doing that. So my dad got ill years ago. He's since passed, but the realization hit me that it's genetic. It's going to happen to me. And what skills do I have? What can I do? Uh, some people are accountants, they do taxes. Some people are mechanics. They always have that income coming in, right? And that's kind of what set me off on the education path to further my education. So that brings me to where I'm at, pretty much like person.
All right, interesting. Well, that's quite a story that I'm sure that we're all going to be wanting to learn more about, Mike. So we'll get there in a minute. And what about your role at C Store? Tell us a little bit about the C Store.
Well, that was born from I was working on an MBA and running a group of stores, 11 stores. It was a lot. It's a lot, to take in. So as I was researching, I noticed there wasn't really anything relevant or particular specific to the convenience store industry. And I thought, man, there's a lot of people in the industry, smart people that go through and study, and nothing really is specific. So that opened my eye. And then I also had conversations with people in different departments as I went through that HR part of the
Hmm.
program, right? What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about this? And then so it started conversations. It got people's, the wheels and people's heads turning. And it was a small family organization. So there were a lot of things we didn't have. But that started those conversations. And a lot of things, came from that, right? Not directly because of me, but just because people started, oh, wow, thinking about
Hmm.
those things. The third thing was I had an employee that used to work for me, and she inherited a house or something. Family member passed away. It was in a different district. Asked for a transfer. And I was like, "Oh my God, you're gonna love working for this person. They're just the greatest, right? Well
Hmm.
respected." Well, several months later, maybe half a year later, the person comes back, and I was like, "Hey, so what'd you think?" And she's like, "I don't know. That person never talked to me. That person only would come in and talk to the managers. I'm just a regular employee." So, and it shocked me, right? And I think about all the times. So, at any rate, I started mapping things out, and it took me when I realized, okay, there's an opportunity here, and I have a master's now. I'm qualified to teach, be an adjunct somewhere. Why don't I just create something for anybody and everybody who would want that? Because I know
Hmm.
turnover has always been high in the industry. So I even when I was a boss, a manager, I might schedule time with you. Something comes up. HR calls me. My boss calls me. Hey, Carlos, I'm sorry. We'll have to push that back. So there's always challenges that prevent people from getting the training development that they need. And I figured if I could do that, why not? That's my contribution to the industry.
Thank you so much for elaborating on that part, Mike. I appreciate it. Which leads me into today's topic. So we're gonna be discussing, we're gonna be talking about not just your journey, but also specifically how you became a C store employee, and then you became an EdTech or education technology founder. So we're gonna jump into that. I know it's a Helen transformation story that I think that I still think like the tagline says that defines today marketplace. So let's start with that, Mike. To begin with, um, you okay? Let's put it this way. Let me go back a little bit. You're a solopreneur transitioning from retail operations to building the C store center.
Correct.
So in that path, what was the pivotal moment that made you realize you could single handedly create a technology solution for the convenience store industry specifically?
Well, that's kind of a combination of those factors that I mentioned earlier, right? Hey, there's nobody here that's laid anything out
Uh huh.
for anybody else. I know there's a lot of supervisors, managers, maybe that are required for promotion to go
Hmm.
get a degree, right? And there's nothing really, um, peer reviewed. There's nothing like that. Job, specific to that industry. Now you have National Association of Convenience Stores, and they have magazine articles, all that stuff. But there's nothing peer reviewed and journalistic. Well, there is
Mhm.
one now, but at any rate, so I saw that again. I saw how those conversations were necessary. There's a lot of people that have the experience that I have, but
Mhm.
maybe they are in different situations. There's a lot of independent owners that don't have that experience and they'll never get it, right? Because they just haven't been exposed
Mhm.
and they don't have the resources. But so if I can have a conversation with you and you pick something up that you hadn't thought about or you hadn't thought about in a while, a refresher, then okay, now you might, as a district manager or as a CEO or somebody, hey, you know what? I need to talk to my guys about this at our next meeting. And let's check the pulse. Let's see where we're at, right? Maybe recalibrating a lot of instances, right? So that was something else that I saw the effects of that, the impact. Of course, the leadership, the employee not getting, um, I would say, deserved attention in that scenario that I gave you, right?
Mhm.
If you're my boss or my boss's boss, I mean, do I not rate for you to talk to? And I've seen that so many times. Higher ups will come in and they won't talk to those people. I, I look for every opportunity to say, hey, this is Carlos. Keep an eye on him. This guy's doing a heck of a job. And because that's what I wanted when I was coming to the ranks and it was hard to get, right? So something like that. And then of course, just again, the credentials. I have the experience now. I can teach it at a
Mhm.
university if I was hired. Why not do it myself? But in order to do that the right way, I needed to get that second master's degree, at least in my eyes, right? Do the work, get the stuff up front to do it the right way if I want to create a
Mhm.
paradigm shift or at least become the industry standard, which is my goal, right?
Right.
Become the most, um, and I don't mean this from an egotistical way, Carlos, but I want to be the most impactful
Mhm.
person in the industry, right?
Okay.
In the industry because I know people need it. And all the work I've done up to this point, I see it and it's necessary and needed. Not all companies approach training the same way. There's some great ones that have great, there's a lot that don't. They
Mhm.
don't budget for it. So if you want to stay in the industry, you want to move up. That's my goal is to try to help those people reach their goals, right? In a unobtrusive manner, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. And as I was listening to you, I was trying to picture you still back in the day when you decided to leave Roadrunner Markets, if I recall correctly,
Yes, correct.
right? So when you decided to leave and pursue your master's in training, I'm sorry, in teaching and learning with technology, I am curious to, and I would like to ask you, how did you teach yourself the technical skills needed to build your platform as a one person operation back then?
Well, let me tell you something, Carlos. I have to tell you this story. My last day at Roadrunner Markets, Friday afternoon, I went home that evening, um, fell asleep, and I had a dream, Carlos. And if this isn't you being in tune or your mind telling you, Carlos, I dreamt that I was going on the ramp to get onto the highway. And,
Mm-hmm.
it gradually had an incline, right? Some of those you get up and then it gets a little, it goes higher and higher and it loops around. Carlos, my thighs started to burn in my dream. I mean, I woke, my legs burned.
Wow.
And I looked down, Carlos, because I could see the sign, right? 768 miles. And I remember back when I lived in San Antonio, I'd see that sign coming in. Like I think it was 768 miles to El Paso. Anyway, that was just burned in my subconscious, ingrained. So I see the sign and I look down and I feel the burn. I'm like, oh my God, Carlos, I am starting this journey on a unicycle. On a unicycle.
Okay.
Now, if that isn't your mind telling you, you know what I mean, this is gonna you're in for a long, long journey, right? So
Yeah.
so at any rate, um, you know, The MALT, teaching and learning with technology, it was disappointing from the perspective of there wasn't really a lot of the tech stuff. Um, I think for me, it was more adult learning theory, which was incredible because it reinforced a lot of things that I already knew. But the biggest takeaway for me was um, informal learning. As adults, we learn more informally, which means reading
Hmm.
something, listening to something, a blog post. You don't need the courses, you don't need all of those things. And I remember the times as a teenager, my dad would tell me something and I'm like, dad, I rather think about my friends and girls and all those things. But when the time came and I needed it, it just kicked in. And so I've taken that
Hmm.
approach with the students that I teach. And I've always said, my goal, I just want to put it there for you. If you need it, great. If you don't, you come back to it. I'm not there for the likes and all those things. I personally, I think that just feeds somebody's ego. That's not what my job is. I'm or not for myself. I'm not looking. I want to put it there for whoever needs it, right? And that's the approach I take because I know it may not be today. It may be a year
Hmm.
from now. It may be 6 months from now, right? I'm not going to cram it down your throat. I'm
Hmm.
not going to. I'm going to put it there for you. I'm going to park it there for you. Right? And I combined the story element too. So I didn't get that. What did I learn? I started to learn about the other thing I got that was very important too was being able to recognize opportunities to incorporate technology. Give you an
Hmm.
example again. Track. I was my first year teaching Rio Hondo High School. I walked onto the track. They needed somebody to coach long distance runners. I used to do that. And I asked the head coach, I'm like, hey, has anybody ever thought? I'm surprised nobody's ever. And he's like, oh my God. If anybody ever did that, yes, I would buy that for my guys. And I thought to myself, this is something that all over the world, but I don't have those technical skills, right? So I'm great at
Okay.
ideas, but technology is catching up now. So I had to learn. I went to YouTube. Right now, I watch a guy named Jenny Jones. I got a shout out to my guy Jenny Jones, Digital Growth Club hacks or digital, yeah. And so it's just nonstop. There's always something going on, but I try to focus on the signal and not the noise. I know what I need because I have the vision. I don't waste time on playing around for fun, like drawing images or creating stuff. If it okay, that looks nice, but if it doesn't really fit my vision, I don't waste my time on it.
Totally get it. Totally with you. And you know what? I was also thinking of something you said a few minutes ago. You used a word, a term. You said paradigm shift. So you mentioned wanting to create a paradigm shift. So uh, how has working solo allowed you to maintain your vision while using technology to transform convenience or training specifically?
Well, it's because it has sharpened my focus because I'm one person. I don't have time to, you know, being an entrepreneur, a solopreneur is difficult when you're by yourself, but it makes me really look at things. And with everything that's coming out now, I have a better idea. Okay, this is going to help me make up ground. This is going to help me
Hmm.
move on to the next thing. This is a critical piece of infrastructure. And I used to think my favorite two words. I know you're kind of into language. Um, my favorite two words used to be in the English language were clearance and
Hmm.
options. Those were awesome.
Right.
They're not anymore. Now it's infrastructure from my MBA and leverage from the technology part. Because
Hmm.
infrastructure determines how far you're going to go, and obviously leverage. My goal is to fling something as fast and as far as I can, so that anybody around the world with one of these who may need it, who may stumble upon it,
Hmm.
can have it. So
Right.
yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, leverage is key. It's definitely is key, especially when you're a solo founder. So when building C-Store Center as a solo founder, by the way, I'm wondering how did you decide, or how did you decide which technologies you could learn and implement yourself versus which required external expertise or help?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, like um, I have a clear path, and I drew that out 10, 11 years ago. So it, I'm able to recognize uh, a need that's going to help me accomplish or create that piece of the structure. But it also goes on. I know what I'm good at, right, and what I'm not good at. I'm not good at the techie stuff. I'm not good on the back end stuff. I'm good at the ideation. I'm good at the strategy. I'm good at the research. I'm good at all those pieces. And I'll give you an
Mhm.
idea. Several years ago, maybe like in 1990, I don't know, 2001, maybe I was in Garden City, Kansas, out there in the middle of nowhere. And I stopped at a Walmart and I had an issue with my battery. And the girl working in that section was asking me questions, and I told her, like, I'm not very automotive. I was trying to think of, I'm not mechanically inclined. I couldn't even get that right. That just tells you how out of tune I am with the, some people are gifted to have mechanical aptitude. I don't. So I
Mhm.
know, and
I hear
yeah,
you
and
completely.
so the things that I'm not good at suffer. But once the tools come along, I already know what I need to get. Now, this summer, I spent a lot of time on trying to understand and leverage some of these tools to be able to work on the graphic design, the aesthetics, those different things. I'm still working on those, but they're so much better now. And you mentioned, I think earlier, we've talked about no code, low code type things. And yeah, so I have so much ready to go. I'm just waiting for the right piece of technology to come around. Once that comes around, I'll walk onto the track again and I'll say, guys,
Mhm.
world, I have the solution for you. But it's not there yet. So
Mhm.
that's how I know.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. It seems to me that you're definitely wearing multiple hats, right? So you're an industry expert, you're an educator, you're a tech entrepreneur. So that leads me to the
Sure.
next question that I have for you is it's about balance. How do you balance learning new technologies with maintaining your business
It's
operations?
really simple. In a convenience store, there's a rigid flow. And you get there in the morning, you have reports you have to pull. Okay, you get all your reports together and you start entering data. Okay, and then you get to a point where, okay, you've got to verify all the money. You have to go in order. I mean, you could maybe deviate a little, but it's very organized and very systematic. And then once
Hmm.
you get that down and you get that out of the way and you don't have any issues, then you move on to other things. And so I I picked up this habit too when I was doing my MBA. I would get home after a long day at work, tired. I would take a nap, and I came to realize
Hmm.
they always say you do your best work early in the morning when you just wake up. The first few hours, I thought to myself, well, why don't I put two days into one? So during the summer, I take a nap and I start all over again fresh. So instead of getting
Hmm.
3 hours of or 4 hours of full on output, now I'm getting double that. Now I don't
Yeah.
know what if that's
I
good for my Alzheimer's, right? But but
hear
that's I mean I've got to do those things, and so technically during the work, when I'm back at work, I do the content, I do my stuff in the morning. Throughout the day, I'm listening, I'm learning, picking things up. And then at night, I'll experiment with what I picked up during the day. I'll research, and that's how I balance all that. And then again, Carlos, when I'm on vacation, I work harder than I do. I mean, just as hard, if not harder, because I go from in the morning till late at night.
you.
Right?
Hmm.
I only sleep because I
Wow.
have to. Otherwise, I'd keep going.
Yeah, well, I hear you and I feel you on the nap part because that's one of my favorite things of the days. Actually, I sort of do the same thing. I break the day with a nap, otherwise I don't function. So,
But
okay,
I want to
well,
clarify something, Carlos. I told you I've always been who I am. I remember when I was a brand new employee in the convenience store, and they'd say, "Okay, everybody introduce yourselves." Well, my name's Mike. What's your hobby? I love to nap. Even back then.
I like
So
Yeah, definitely. That's one of my favorites ever. Okay, Mike. So look, this is interesting because we're discussing your journey as a solopreneur, building, working in education technology. So, and I can see it and feel it. But at the same time, I'm also aware that there are other big players out there. So let's talk about competition. How do you compete with larger education technology companies as a solopreneur? And what advantages does your solo approach give you?
you're not going to believe this, Carlos, but I don't think about my competitors. I never have. Even as a manager, even as an employee, I've never worried about what the other person's
Hmm.
doing. I've always thought to myself, how can I be the best that I am? And then, that always, everybody else always falls behind. As a store manager, I wasn't even in position for 6 months. I took over a store, 24-hour store, no employees, just me. No, one employee. He had chest pains the first day I met him. He was going to be out for the next 2 weeks. 6 months later,
Wow.
yeah, 6 months later, we used to have meetings for training. I couldn't go. I needed how to staff, how to interview. I couldn't go because I didn't have any coverage. So 6 months of grinding and working, I got it straightened out, and then I was leading the whole pack, right? And then pretty soon I was getting groomed to be a district manager. So I just focused on, okay, how do I make sure what happened at Carlos's store doesn't happen here? I wasn't worried about beating Carlos. I was worrying about making the best for my team, myself, because I knew if I did those things, everybody wants to win immediate gratification. I could get them raises, I could get
Hmm.
them recognition and the pride. So I never really worried about that. And I remember back in the day, but maybe 98, 99, I was in a relationship with somebody and she's like, I hate you sometimes. You're so damn competitive. And I said, babe, I don't compete. I just win. I don't worry about you and everybody else. That's just how it is, right? Now I know Mark Cuban would probably say you're crazy because there's always somebody out there trying to outwork you, but I just never run across that. So so
Right.
for me, um, the second part of it is, I mean, again, this is a legacy project for me, and because of the work ethic that I have, the approach that I
Hmm.
take, um, that really is. I mean, I won't get this done in my lifetime, but I will
Hmm.
get a lot laid, and eventually. So the advantage is that there's no noise. It's mostly signal because the vision is clear, and I understand the
Right.
tools and I understand those things. So yeah, as soon as the tools
Hmm.
come out, that's what's gonna. I've got things in my mind that people just haven't even thought about because of that industry expertise, and it's just a matter
Hmm.
of continue to build on. I'm getting closer. It'll be,
Right.
and that's where the paradigm shift will come from because your employer can't tell you where to go to the gym to work out. They can't tell you those things. So somebody somewhere in the middle of the night in Wisconsin is working a shift out there in the middle of nowhere, and they want to learn something just like I did. It's not for everybody, but it's there from here till the end of time. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Got it. Definitely. So, Mike, I mean, this is getting so interesting. I wish we had
Sure.
more time, but unfortunately, we're coming up
Yeah.
on time. But there's a couple more questions that I want to ask you. One of them is, of course, related to the
Sure.
technology part of it. You and I were chatting off the air, about how I personally feel about technology and so on and so forth. So, in your case, how do you evaluate and integrate new technologies like AI, for example, into your platform when you're managing everything yourself?
Well, here's the one thing that I really want people to understand, whoever's listening, because I know there are stigmas and things attached to AI. This is how I look at it. I look at it from a utilitarian perspective, right? If I weren't creating this, a lot of people wouldn't gain access, wouldn't gain that knowledge. And so it's really for I guess the betterment. Again, it's a gift back. It's my way of giving back to the industry. So that's the
Hmm.
first thing, right? With the mindset for that. Um, it just depends on the tool and the need that I have. Right now, I am past the podcast, right? That's with the foundation. I didn't have a I didn't have books to do online courses. I built podcasts. From there, I've got over 600 podcasts, Carlos. Okay, articles I have
Hmm.
probably more than
I know.
1,200. Okay, so my next phase is creating resources that people can download that they can take, and so the knowledge will transfer so that they can, okay,
Hmm.
look at it in their store, in their wherever it is, ask the questions to their leadership team. Hey, how come we this? That's the next thing. Of course, now technology is enabling us. Now they have low code apps. They have just there's different tools. So because I already have all that laid out, and because I've already done things in segments or phases, I'm not creating podcasts anymore, not yet, because that's already
Hmm.
there. So now I work on the next piece, and that's how I incorporate AI and the technology that's available into that. My next thing is that, and then video, right? So there'll be videos, and I'll leverage avatars because again, one to many. How many? I can't afford. I don't have the time. But at some point, maybe next summer, I'll do the live streams. I'll do all those things. Maybe sooner. Who knows? But I've got to get the other pieces in place, and they're almost there.
Right, right. Which leads me to the last question, by the way. This is about looking ahead, the future. So, how do you plan to scale? If you're planning to scale, how do you plan to scale C Store Center while maintaining the agility and the vision that comes with being who you are?
Well, once you put the blocks in place, again, that gives you the opportunity to build. And I'll give you an example, Carlos, of how, um, just really quick, just how obsessive maybe, or just how relentless. Something comes up. I have X amount of credits. I have X amount of things. Boom, I knock it out. The other day, I probably did like 40 videos, right? Okay, that piece is done. What's the next piece I have to do on my plate? And so I'm doing that. But to answer your question, at some point in time, I'll make the jump full time. In the meantime, this year I'm focused on,
Mhm.
agentic agents and learning how to do that so that I can take the time away and get to the next point. What I have built in my mind, imagined, it's going to be a real community, and at some point I'm going to have other people come in, other people that are in the store level, maybe somebody who's retiring and wants to look at legacy. I have a lot planned, and we're getting a lot closer to that. So people that are gone, they're going to be able to give back, to the development of others. All that's coming. So it'll be a group
Mhm.
effort. Right now it's just me, but eventually the whole world is going to be in on this.
Totally agree with you, Mike. So, well, Mike, what can I say? I mean, unfortunately, we have run out of time, and I gotta say, this has been a great conversation. Like, it was also very pleasurable because we've talked in the past, and I know the type of person that you always keep pushing and going for the next big thing in your life as a solopreneur. So thank you for that, and I congratulate you for that as well. So for those of you who are watching now, either now or in the future, we're please visit cstorethrive.com. That's the URL you see at the bottom. That's Mike's company, right? Mike
Well, it's a
is
newsletter. That's
that's
like a yeah.
Oh, that's a newsletter. Okay, so just make sure you go there, sign up, and be kept abreast of everything that's going on in Mike's world. Mike, how do people besides the newsletter, how can people get a hold of you if they want to, like on LinkedIn or email?
Well, yes, they can go find me on LinkedIn, the profile, and I think you're going to put that on there, and also the email admin at C Store Center. But I want to make one thing abundantly clear: I I don't even send out newsletters, right? Because email fatigue, and people are just tired of. I mean, I have an inbox of, and I don't even look at the darn things anymore, right? So if you sign up, you're not going to get spammed. I don't think I've ever sent out one email. Maybe for a
Wow.
roadmap, but other than that,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So no, I mean, and you've never heard me use the word sell, right? Buy in this thing at all, right? That's not what I'm about. So anyway, Yeah, just check it out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's right there, folks, at the bottom, admin@cstore.com. That's where you can reach out to Mike. And Mike, what can I say? It's been a pleasure to have you here on the show today. Just a quick announcement. Well, it's just a reminder for those of you who are watching. We're always looking for new faces to talk to right here on Advancio Talks. You know, people, what I call the movers and shakers of the tech world in many spaces, many verticals. Just keep an eye, try to keep an eye on our upcoming interviews right there on advancedtalks.com/tech-talks. So all of the upcoming interviews are going to be up there. Stay tuned, folks. And with that being said, Mike, again, thank you so much for having joined me and the audience today to share with us a little bit of your journey. Very
Well,
enlightening.
thank you for
Thank
the
you again.
opportunity, and you know, embrace the technology. It's coming. So, all
Certainly
right.
will. All right, Mike, stay with us
So,
as we go off the air. And for those, the rest of you, see you next time right here on Advancio Talks. Until then.